And again, we got Laura here, and we got Mike Barrera. The boys are at it again. A storm rode through last night, and really cool. The temperatures were in the 50s. It's about probably 14 or 13 Celsius. It's just nice and nippy. Some drink change. I wrapped up because once it goes from 80 to 50 in 6 hours, I know I wasn't going to tolerate it very well, so I wrapped up. You see, my brother is wrapped up. Mike's the tough guy on this ride, but you see, Laura's wrapped up. So we're going to get some clips for you all. Should be pretty interesting.
On this ride, Paul and I left Northampton, rolled into the woodlands. We picked up Mike Barrera and Laura Smith, and we headed out on Fish Creek Boulevard. That's off camera. We started the film when we got into Hornier on 105, and then we went out through Highland Hollow, Longmire Road, out to 830 by the lake. One of the kind of larger experience going across the lake there on that long bridge. We filmed all the way until we got through the forest, Mount Pleasant, and at 149 we stopped filming. We came back using Bailey Grove, 1097 into Montgomery. We stopped at Taco Corner, refilled, headed out 2854 Mill Route. And then once we got into Hornier, we took Hornier Egypt Road all the way back into the woodlands. Mike Barrera had some monster pulls on the ride. It was kind of nice riding with a couple more riders. So we got to sit in more than normally on our rides. And so it was a nice change. I think you will love the clips we got for you. We're on the open road. The FM 2978. Sendera Fish Creek Boulevard. We're headed north. A storm had rolled in. We're on the section called McCaleb. We're approaching 105. And what I was saying is to Paul, I said that now I'm kicking. My power meter was off kilter, so we stopped briefly for me to calibrate it, because I primarily calibrate it when I change bikes. And I'm using the Kish titanium bicycle today. So Laura is in kind of a stealth Rafa kit combination, the training jersey. Mike Barrera, I think he's got his Legion shorts. And Paul and I are wearing our protein thermal dark orange jerseys. Because when the temperature goes from 30 Celsius or 33 Celsius to 13 in 6 hours, I don't play around with it. So we're approaching Highway 105 in Conroe, Texas. So Mike Barrera took some monster pulls on this ride, including this one. Took just very long pulls, long, steady pulls. This time of year, this is the kind of riding you want. November has come into play, so now, depending on your periodization schedule, now's the time to start building a solid aerobic base that will carry you well into next season. This is Highway 105. They have taken our shoulder and they made it a lane because they got a lot of construction. I'm not sure what they're doing. They're probably eliminating the middle turn lane, and they're probably going to put dividers to keep traffic from turning arbitrarily in front of other traffic. It works on rural roads, but this area has grown quite a bit, so they're trying to minimize it. So this is an actual lane, not a shoulder at this point.
That's why you see those white reflector bumps on the right. So I'm going to mention to Delora in a bit that this used to be our shoulder. That's what I'm telling her right now. So in a few kilometers, once the shoulder re-emerges as a shoulder, I'm going to mention to her to move over to the left, because since this is a lane, the cars actually use this now. So there's no debris on the right where she is. But once it goes back to where the section becomes a shoulder, the debris is there because cars are not driving on it and in that section. A slight grade here, 2 or 3%. We're headed east into the sun. Look at that sky. So this is where the shoulder now is back to being a shoulder. And they've moved those little white strips, the little bubbles to the left. So in a little bit, I would tell her to move to the left because there's a lot of debris. So there's a lot of crap over there. Don't ride there. You increase your chances of a puncture. That's what I'm telling her. I told her move to the left, there's a lot of crap over there. And she's moving at a good clip, and we're doing about 23, 24 miles an hour. It's at 1%. So 1 to 2%, we're doing 23 miles an hour. That's a nice pace. I'm right at sweet spot. It's good effort. You can hear the wind. So I get really close on her wheel. She's smaller than I am, so I got to get her down low. You want to kind of stay in the draft, so when it's your turn to pull, you're somewhat fresh. Coming up on Sap Road here, I believe. So this whole time, Laura's been pulling between 23 to almost 25 miles per hour. It's relatively flat here too, 1 or 2%.
It's flattened out a bit. My heart rate has dropped back into zone 2. That's Sap Road. So we motion to that driver to let him know we're going straight. Laura waved at him too. Got to keep your eyes on those parts of the road when you're riding. Anything that can impede or get in your path, you keep your eye on it. Don't assume they've seen you. Make sure they see you. In a couple of kilometers, you will see the sun come into play. It's really a nice shot. As we round, there's a curve in the distance that would take us more easterly. We're already heading east. I think it's going to go just even a little more with less coverage of the sun. You see the sun peeking over the trees. And it just looks amazing. There's the sun. Even Laura made a comment about it on the road, how it was coming through the clouds. There was a section where it may have been off camera, where the sun was coming through just a hole in the clouds. It looked like just a light shining straight down on the pavement. Short red light, it changed. Continue rolling. I have backed up a bit, so I'm going to speed up to get on her wheel. And a little bit after that, I'm going to ride up and let her know we're going to be turning left. Once Highland Hollow comes into view. Look at that sun. It's just beautiful. Riding into the light. So yeah, I ride up to let her know we're going to be turning left. We can see the light in the distance. I let her know that if we can't get into the lane, we'll use the side street and go directly across at the intersection.
Yeah. You know the shoulder? Yes. Usually it's pretty 4x4, 2x4. Yes.
Yeah, Mike Barrera is telling Paul that the shoulder's pretty clean. I think it has to do with the storm that came in. It was very windy. We had tornadoes in the area. There's a bunch of cars coming, so I get back on the shoulder. I got over to check. And the left lane was partially clear, but then I just saw a line of cars. So we're going to wait till they go by. I let them know to back off. There's one or two more left. And now it's clear. So I'm going to tell Laura to go ahead and turn because this light does not change for bicycles. Yeah, because she was going to wait. There's nothing coming, so we turn because that light doesn't change.
This is Highland Hollow Drive. It goes to a road called Foy Martin Drive. That's the steepest pitch in this area.
I think I got the QM on it the other day.
Okay.
She says she thinks she has a QM. She came with a group.
Good.
And they came
This
through
whole
here.
neighborhood here, this old Bagour neighborhood reminds me of San Mateo.
Oh, yeah.
So Mike letting her know that this is an older neighborhood, all these mature trees. We like coming through here in the winter. We do repeats in here sometimes, Paul and I. Well, we're gonna go through here. There's a stop sign coming up. A lot of times when we come, we go to the right. It's an even nicer grade on that side, and it goes long, kicks up to the left. So we're just riding this climb, not racing up it.
Laura's bike is barely UCI legal. Her body weight is barely UCI legal.
I said Laura's bike barely UCI legal. Her body weight barely UCI. She's about, what, 120 pounds maybe?
I picked up the bike and I was like, jeez, where's the bike? Like, where's the beef?
The bike is barely 16 pounds. I think that's the UCI limit, the bike she's on.
The cool thing, Laura, I don't hear your brakes. That's good.
Oh, I know it.
Yeah, she had noisy brakes this week. We worked on it. You know,
She
it
told
needed
me,
to
I
be
think he knows
adjusted.
what he's doing.
That's a Cervelo R5 that Laura is riding. This is where it kicks in. I don't know if it'll register. It should be like 12 or 13%. It's saying 7. It's more than that.
I'll wake you up.
Looks like the highest it shows like 9. It's like 12% or something. It kicks in depending on how you take it. So we had the outfits perfect for this weather because it's very, very comfortable the whole day. It didn't warm up much. You see it's 12 Celsius. It's like 53, 54 degrees Fahrenheit. And out here is always a little cooler. So we had storms that came in and overnight. They moved pretty quickly through the area. There were some tornadoes near the Dallas area, a place called Paris, Texas, and some other smaller towns. All into Pittsburgh, Texas, Tyler, Texas, all of them were pounded. Then it moved into Louisiana. It's a long storm. It impacted a good section of the central U.S., south central U.S.
We actually have architectural details in these homes. Ground molding, straight ceiling.
So this time of year, I do most of my climbing around Sweet Spot for the most part.
Laura's brakes was playing like an orchestra. It was playing like an orchestra yesterday.
Yeah,
Making music.
really?
Like music had to be clean. You had it, everything. You can hear it quiet.
Yeah.
That's right. Where do we get dirty? We turn here. No, sir. Keep
Straight.
going. There's a boulevard where that car just came from. After the red truck.
Actually, it was before the red truck, but I will correct them. I will correct it.
Actually, I think it's before the red truck.
Yeah, there's a red truck in the distance. The car turned on the road we're taking.
I think. Is that it?
There's a boulevard.
Yeah, it is.
There's a nice little, just kind of a jig through this neighborhood. You get to do some climbing, and then we're going to hit Longmire Road.
Yeah, right. The road. You got to really watch out because when you get wet, it's like ice. Smooth stone. Yeah,
So he's telling Laura about an intersection at Leah Drive and Honia Egypt Road. The camber of the road is kind of off kilter. It's not banked properly. And then you're descending, your speed increases as you go into the turn. So when it's wet, it's a mess. We had quite a few riders falling at that intersection. That's what they're talking about. So we're approaching Longmire Road. So that's the kind of, this time of year, you know, you ride for a while, you get to the point where you have some conversations, and then you will see we'll pick it up again. That's what it's about. It's about just being out on the bike and building your base.
much I respected that left-hand turn on Leah. Yeah, it's tricky. And because I've seen 1 or 2 turns in my day. And,
That driver waits for us. We thank him. We'll just take the right lane. This road's quiet. I let Mike know car back because it's got to close to that line.
I analyzed that turn when I first got here. And yeah, we've had a few crashes. And Abby, God bless her, she came on and said, I gotta disagree, that turn's no big deal.
The camber is off and you're accelerating through there. It's cambered wrong.
Yeah,
the turn leans to the right on a slope that is going to the right. Normally they would bank it the other way, like when you're on a velodrome or something, but it didn't do that. The good thing is that if you do slide off, it's nothing but grass.
It was raining and Randy fell and took it down. But it ended up in the grass. That's the only redeeming factor of that course. You got that big bailout area.
There's a big grassy area, so if you fall, that's where you end up because you're just sliding to the right. So I'll roll to the front, and Mike's going to roll up there. We'll chat for a little bit, and then I'm just going to resume the riding.
Yeah.
So we ended up showing Laura the turn. We didn't go through it. We went by it on the way back home off camera.
I think there was grass, but not multi-wire or something.
Yeah, they got a big grassy field to the right of it. It's not, when it's dry, it's okay, but you have to respect it when the road is slick. It's not the worst turn I've seen. You gotta control your speed. I was taught to slow way down and accelerate out of turns, as opposed to carrying speed that you cannot maintain. So even if you're descending, it's better to slow down before you turn and then accelerate out of the turn. Because if you try to slow down, if you carry too much speed, then you overcook it. It's hard to control. You end up crashing sometimes. Or you lose time because you're trying to get that speed under control, while other riders who slow down enough are accelerating out of the turn. You still slowing down. So nothing replaces riding your bike outside on the road. The skill level that you maintain is from being out there. The trainer is a good supplement, but I only do it when I absolutely have to. This road goes up. I think I'm on a small chain ring here. Just keeping the effort the same. Keeping my cadence up. Probably in a 39-16 or something like that. A 67-inch gear or 70-inch gear. The road's going to start going back up. You can see it visually. Just a slight grade. But with that wind that came in, it wasn't very breezy today, but there's always wind out there. And all I'm trying to do is keep the effort steady.
Looks like Paul is standing here. You can see his shadow to roll that gear he's in. There's a rider up ahead. I just saw the tail light. They turn on one of those roads up there. They turn on at the next intersection. There's a four-way stop. They turn right. A rider or riders. So most of the riding this time of year, especially when I'm solo, I ride top of zone 2. So it translates most of the time on fair to rolling terrain, anywhere between 17, 19 miles an hour. That's kind of, I don't do it by speed, mostly by effort. So if I have a couple of hours, I know how long it takes me to do that loop, And if the weather changes, I know it's going to take me a little longer if there's more wind and all that. So I plan my routes accordingly based on how much time I have. So Mike is talking about one of the riders that used to ride with the Team RR group. Said he hadn't seen him in a while. A lot of the riders that used to ride with Team RR, they broke off and started riding with a group that Paul H rides with. It's called, they leave from the Zonti, another location nearby where we start. But they wanted, the option of having a slightly more, I guess, moderate pace. And Team RR was not offering that. It was like they'd show up and we just ride away, everybody's started to hammer and all that. I had suggested that we set up different speed groups, which the guys at Team RR liked, but nobody implemented it. And so nobody wants to come every week and you just ride away from them. So quite a few of the riders that used to ride with Team RR just went off to another group that keeps their pace more reasonable. That's what they kind of want to do. So if you have your group and it grows, you have to have different options. You have to have different speed groups. That's what the Sun and Ski guys do. They have the fastest riders leave first and then so forth and so on. So depending on your mood that day or the kind of riding you want to do, you have choices. And so they were not given a choice over here, so they just went ahead and started their own little group just maybe a mile or two down the road from where we leave from. So Paul H heads that group and they head out. So we see them out, same people. So we started our own little group me, and we got Laura, we got Mike on there, now we added Abby. We're gonna keep adding people that want to do big rides, depending on, throughout the year or whatever their training calls for. Because for these guys, this route is at least 70 miles. And that's kind of what they want to do right now. So if we grow this to where it's larger than 20 people or something like that, we'll try to make multiple groups, give people the option of regrouping at the store and whatever. That keeps it to where people have a reason to keep coming week after week because they got somebody to ride with, not just having people ride away from them. There's a car on the right, so we'll wait for him. He has Laura. She's been on Mill Route. So Laura has been riding with a few groups since she got in town. So she's been on quite a few of the routes that we use. She's generally familiar with the area. You know, she hasn't mastered all the routes yet, but she'll get it. So it's good to know the different routes wherever you are. If you're not familiar, get with some of the groups. Especially this time of year, the pace is usually not that hard. And you can kind of familiarize yourself if you're new to the area.
We did a 70-mile ride.
Woodlands?
What's that?
Did you ride with the Woodlands group?
Yeah, Woodlands.
Oh, okay.
I did like a wide
They
span.
did a 22 average. They like hit it and it stuck. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I think she's talking about the WCC guys. They average around 21, 22 miles an hour for the whole ride. So most of the time they're riding 24 plus
Tuesday night.
in average terrain. She's talking about a Tuesday night ride. It's in town.
No, I guess he's been in Italy or something.
Yeah,
He's the one guy I haven't met that I want to meet. I have a friend in California that said, hey, when you meet both, I said hi. He's a Uncle Italian guy.
Yeah.
And everyone met, and then Elton mentioned him.
Yeah.
But
He's cool.
yet to meet him. I heard he was in Italy. So.
Yeah. Strong rider.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
heard.
Before you get into
So yeah, we're talking about Mo. Mo was in Italy for most of October. He's back now. And so she hasn't met him yet. But she rode with the, I guess, WCC guys on a Tuesday night ride. It's usually they used to call it a hammer fest. And she said they were averaging 22 plus. And if it's in town, they're jumping after every intersection. So it's a different kind of riding.
over there and he started coming over, then the other one came. So all three of them came. You know what I noticed about those horses? They eat a lot of snubble.
So this is how you pass the hours, you know. You get a quiet road like this, you guys ride two abreast, shoot the breeze, you know. Mike sharing some of his experiences with me. You see how even though we're riding two abreast, we're using half of the lane. That's the way we used to do even when we're riding in a double pace line. We would probably move over just a little, but then when we peel off, it would be like you're peeling a banana. One person will go to the left, one person will go to the right, then the group will come through the middle. You keep that double pace line moving like that. And we do that on quiet stretches, you know, out in what I call high exercise potential terrain. I love riding on clean pavement. You don't have to wonder about, you don't get any surprise punctures. Yeah, we're talking about this road. You see it says 2%, but it looks flat. Just how you see it on camera. When you're riding it, it seems like it's flat, but you feel like you're working. And it goes from 1 to 2. If you look at the grade over the Cyclist avatar on the left, it's 1 to 2, 1 to 2, but visually you can't tell, except for in the distance there where you see coming up ahead. So you've got enough resistance to where you're working. So right at the top of zone 2. So don't pay attention to speed. Focus on your effort. What are you doing? Using a power meter or a heart rate monitor. Make sure you understand your zones and what the purpose for your rides are. And you try to stay there. That's the most effective way to train on a bicycle, because it's not like running. Running, once you're moving, you're kind of working. You have to really work on running easily. And a lot of times when I used to run, I would walk and mix it up on the easy days instead of running. Because once you're running, your heart rate goes up. You're carrying all that mass.
Road racer, massive road racer, if he had gotten into cycling and really cared about it, because he's got perfect build. He is tiny, he's naturally skinny. I mean, he is super skinny. And I think it's, it's really no about weight. Yeah, but, but he doesn't, look how he tries to train. I don't think. Every time he goes hard, you see him doing that. Yeah, no,
We're talking about a rider that we used to come out and ride with us, and Mike has met him. I think he's riding with Paul H's group. His name is Michael.
Yeah, I doubt very much if he ever motor pace or anything like that, you know what I mean? He's just used to slogging around, and he probably started at huge years and never developed any kind of leg action.
So this is Highway 830, FM 830. We're going to take this in lieu of getting on 1097 too early.
We come out here, we went to Willie. On a Sunday, we came out here and turned right one time. Yeah, I remember this. This will take us to...
Yeah, Mike has been out here before. I was with him.
Okay, it's really nice. It's got a wide shoulder. We're going straight? No, we are going. But we're not going all the way to the lake? Or we are?
No, we're not going to go all to hit the lake on this road. We're going to turn right and go to 1096. This parallels 1097. It keeps up off of that section. We're going to the road that takes us to... That's 1097. This will take us to 1097. This is a little zigzag. Quiet. So this parallels the way we went to Willie.
I was looking at FM 830.
Yeah.
I've been on this road. I'm trying to...
Yeah, so Laura's getting her bearings, That's what you have to do. Mark the main turns. FM 830 was paved in the last few years. It's nice. Got a nice wide shoulder. So we're going to stay close to the white line because with you can see the pavement, you see the rain. It's just damp. It's not wet. But we had storms. And I talked about the tornadoes and stuff, in the area. We were under a watch as well. It was very breezy in the Woodlands area. So it rained, but it moved quickly, and with the wind, it dried quickly. So it's not wet, it's just damp. But there's no moisture, per se, on the surface. So we're going to stay close to the white line just to avoid picking up any little pieces of flint. Because everything usually drifts to the right as cars go by. Stay within a foot. And then with my mirror, I use that to see when the main lane is clear, because there are times when you can choose to use the main lane. It's a nice descent out here. I think we end up going above 34, 35 miles an hour. We're doing about 27, 28. Almost 30 miles an hour now. We're not even pedaling. Coming the other way, this is a nice climb. So I use the main lane, nothing's coming, just to slow me down. Use the wind to slow me down. Because I'm right on Mike's wheel. It's better to use the wind or let friction slow you down where you can instead of braking all the time. If you must use the brakes, you just kind of lightly tap them. It's got to scrub off some speed. You're not really stopping per se. But once you get the hang of using your position to slow you down by using the wind and so forth, you rarely need the brakes in the pace line. But a lot of times when stuff happens in the pace line where, say, a rider goes down in front of you or something unexpected, I have gotten out of scrapes in the pace line by actually accelerating out of danger not necessarily braking. So braking is not always the answer when stuff happens. You got to find a little hole sometime, punch your way through. Yeah, this is where we exceed 30 miles an hour. We're in the 30s now. So I'm not really pedaling that much because Mike is punching a hole in front of me. He's doing all the work. You hear the wind. I think that's a guy walking, yeah. But I like to give them plenty of room because they don't really hear you. Our machines are usually very quiet. I think this is where the road starts to go up. Our speeds will drop. It's a nice little bump. You can see the watts go up. So if you're in rolling terrain, this is where you want to expend the most energy. The hills, this is where you can gain time. You have to work so much harder on flat roads for any incremental increase in speed. There's a lot of mud. It looks like some work truck dump stuff. So I check my mirror, it's clear. I go ahead and use the lane just to avoid all that mud. And with my mirror, I can tell when there are other road users behind us and so forth. So I really loved using it. And I wish I had gotten it many, many years ago. I'm gonna go to the front here. Kind of give Mike a spell. Just slip in front of him.
Car back.
Since it's a fairly narrow road, 2-lane, we just go ahead and use single file here. Keep the effort the same. So even though I'm in sweet spot, it's because I'm at the front. The rest of these guys are probably in zone 2.
Yeah, when we first got here for the first month, like Research Forest Drive was like my safety place. It's like, okay, I'm doing this fish creek.
Mark and Laura are talking about, getting used to the routes.
Car back.
Yeah. Yeah, fish creek was my second safety place.
When I first got here, I was like, these roads, I don't know where I can ride, but now that I've figured it out, there's a lot of areas.
Clear.
So Laura said when she first got here, she said she saw the road. She's like, I don't know where I can ride, because where she lives right now, it's very busy. It's built up. It's on the east side of the Woodlands. But there are roads. We rode out there a few weeks ago, like 3083. So she and I looked at the map together. I pointed out some stuff. Now she's building her own little loops. That's kind of nice. There's always places you can ride, no matter how it might seem. You just gotta, get out there, talk to the people at the bike shop, talk to other cyclists if you're new in an area. They'll show you where they ride. Or use the Garmin. If you have a Garmin product, use the Garmin heat maps, because the purple routes are what gives you a tip off as to what other cyclists are doing, where they're riding. I think it's a nice thing to have on Garmin Connect. And even if you're a runner and you're in the area, you can use those purple the heat maps for areas to run, because chances are where people ride will be conducive for your runs. Yeah, Mike's telling me he remembers this now. He's talking about the descent that's coming in a few kilometers. So now he remembers coming through here. He said, yeah, I've been through here. Yeah, we came together one time.
So that neighborhood that you saw all the deer? Oh, by the way, my wife and I saw 22 deer in one person's neighborhood. Yeah, we counted 22 deer. So anyway,
Neighborhood we went to?
yeah, what the hell was I say? It's off by 10 o'clock. Yeah, I got up with a deer and I got.
I do the same thing, okay.
It's like so many deer. It's like, oh my god. Well, the thing is in San Diego, I've never seen a deer. At the zoo we have deer, obviously, but you don't go to the zoo to see a deer. So I've never seen one ride.
Yeah, we have a lot of wildlife in our area that they're free, just running around like he's talking about the deer. And we take it for granted because we've just always seen them here. So it gives us a different perspective when Mike and Laura talk about it. Yeah, we have bobcats and foxes and all kinds of stuff out there. Just because you build houses in an area doesn't mean the animals all leave. They stick around. They find a way to adapt. You got to keep your garbage cans covered or it will get knocked over at night. I learned that the hard way, having to pick up that stuff. So we have very heavy lids on the garbage cans. The raccoons will get in there if you don't. We have a lot of raccoons. We have skunk, possum, armadillos. I don't mind them. They eat bugs. The armadillos dig in the ground, eat bugs and grubs and other things. They're here. They don't bother me. When the skunks get bothered, they spray. That's about the only thing you smell. Or when they're killed, they get run over by cars. We have a lot of vultures in the area. We call them the cleaners. They'll pick a carcass clean to the bone.
Yeah, he's back.
Yeah, man, you should have invited me on a ride today. don't know what Mo is doing.
Yeah, I don't know what Mo's up to.
I'll send him a note, but
I know his name well because everyone talks about him, but I haven't met him.
Maurizio. Mo's a breath of fresh air.
posted it on Strava.
That guy lives on a bike, I tell you.
He's another one.
That's Jerry. I'm talking about Jerry.
They have any other life. They do a lot of miles. I don't work, but I have the other bike. But I get it.
Yeah, we have a guy in our area. You all know Jerry. Jerry's been on here. Jerry will ride in the morning, have some lunch,
Riding there. I follow
and
him
he'll
on
head back
Strava.
out.
Oh, yeah.
Literally lives on a bike.
Yeah.
But every time he shows up, he's a full of fresh air, man. Yeah.
Yeah, Mo does not ride as many miles as Jerry, but Mo knows how to train. So,
Sure.
you know, he has a schedule. You know, there are times when he does the long, hard rides, the easy, short, fast rides, and easy recovery rides. So, yeah, you don't need a lot of miles
you gotta stop
to be fast.
Yeah, definitely
You got to find what works for you with the available time you have.
So that's why we turn this way. You can see all the construction. When they're done, it's better.
Yeah.
So let's get.
So we're turning 11. I think Laura thought we were going to go across. So she goes over and I told her, no, come this way.
This way.
Yeah, so I told her this way. So there's a lot of construction. This is FM 1097. And it used to be called the Willis Montgomery Road, basically. That's the way to Willis and the way to Montgomery. So we're headed towards Montgomery. And with all this construction, they put these concrete blocks out here like, I think last spring or something. It's been there for a while. So in a few kilometers, it's going to basically be on the white line and we'll have to take the main lanes. I'm standing because there's a lot of debris blown by the cars there, so I take the weight off.
Oh, thank you.
She's telling Paul that she likes his shoe. His shoe matches the jersey. Red orange.
He is our designer. He's the one that put me through it. Yeah.
So we both have the orange shoes, but I didn't know he was going to wear his. I just wore black today. But because it was going to be mostly overcast, we picked the orange, the dark orange, and then the temperature, all of that. Yeah. Until I acclimate to the cold, I'll wrap up.
This.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been like a career. That's what he's talking about, the highway.
Yeah.
Yeah, all the way behind us. We're headed west, all the way east of 45. There's construction, and it's been going on for a while.
Yeah, I know.
They're going to widen it. You see all the dirt on the right that's been scraped up? They're going to make it wider through here. So it's going to take a while. So we're using the main lane. They're going to have to use that center turn lane to go by. Mike's pulling at a good pace. Mike ends up pulling from here across the lake all the way till we hit Mount Pleasant Road to enter the forest. And then off camera, he pulled us all the way in on Honia Egypt Road. That's like one of his favorite roads in the area. So just like I counted like 3 monster pulls on the whole ride. And I was like, this is great. I can just sit in and work less. Since he's punching a hole in the wind, I let my cadence fall a bit and just treat it like a mountain climb. It's very windy. I'm waving at truck driver. There's a guy behind that's been sitting there. Nothing said. And just go. because I could see around Mike. Only do that if it's clear and it's safe. And we'll have a shoulder here. We're going to start using it. We're going to be approaching the bridge that covers the largest expanse of Lake Conroe on this side. And then somebody's going to do that rolling coal thing. I don't know whether it was accidental or intentional. Didn't matter. I just held my breath to get through the smoke. But he did it twice, so I don't think it was an accident. He was an idiot. As Forrest Gump says, stupid is as stupid does. You can't do anything about that. It's best to not even bother engaging them, because they're not going to be able to tell who the genius is and who the fool is. So you'll see in a little bit as they come by. Everybody else drive by, but he's got to make a point. I think it's here. Yeah, that one in a piece of crap truck there.
What an idiot!
And he does it again when they enter the bridge. So as we come, we can see the smoke. And so when that happens, just ignore them. Don't acknowledge a fool unless absolutely necessary.
Go ahead. I want to film this water.
Paul told Laura to come up. He wants to film the lake. Look at the clouds over here. It's just beautiful. I had trouble picking a thumbnail. As I do this, I'm still trying to decide which shot to use for a thumbnail. It's amazing to see how calm the lake is, because 6 or 7 hours ago, we were under a tornado watch. The trees were getting bent backwards. It was just amazing. You can see how calm the waters of the lake are. It's like you wouldn't have guessed that 6 or 7 hours ago we were under a tornado watch. It blew through quickly. It was a fast-moving storm. And most of the south central U.S. was affected. Look at that sky. It's just beautiful. beautiful painting. Riding about 26, 27 miles an hour for quite a stretch there at sweet spot. Now we're exiting the lake. The road goes up a bit. It's kind of a false flat. We didn't back off too much. I thought Mike was going to get off the front at this point, but he continued. I was like, this fine with me. I'm sitting very close to him. I think we're going to hit the red light up there. And I thought after the red light, he'd back off. No, he just kept pulling. So, hey. It's a short light, it changed, and we continue. The road goes up here. You can see it. Might be 2%, if that, maybe 2 or 3. It's not that long, but it's, you feel it. Yeah, 3%, I think. Oh, 4%. I didn't know it was more than that. So it's going to be leveling off here. Hoping they're done with that construction to give us a wider shoulder out here, or a wider right lane, one or the other. I prefer a wider right lane because then it will be clean, because cars will use it when you're not there. Like a 9-foot right lane or something. So this is the kind of riding where you just want to find a rhythm. It's gotten a little harder because the terrain we're in right now is very lumpy. So every time you go up the hill, you're working. My heart rate like hit 170. I mean, I wasn't aware of it. I was just riding. But right here is like you're taking a break. You can see the watts go down. And of course, my heart rate's coming down as you know, as to be expected. So you're not going to stay necessarily in zone 2 the whole ride. That's not the goal. The goal is to average zone 2. So that it's not a soft ride, or as Paul Ilonga calls it, a foo-foo ride. You know, you got to do some work. It's long, steady distance. I'll do a recovery ride from time to time if my legs are really feeling heavy and I just want to kind of loosen up, but that's like no effort. And it's, you know, it's about an hour or less just to go out and just kind of spin. It's like a massage on the bike. That's not training. just to get loose. So after all this pulling Mike's been doing, he's doing 25 miles an hour. We're going downhill, so I'm mostly soft pedaling. That, you know, with the downhill, you don't require as many watts. But I'm very close to his wheel. Because he's easy to follow, he's very smooth. That's about as close as I was following Laura on 105 when she was pulling. Road goes up here. I downshift. See the watts go up. Keep the cadence high. I stay a little to his right because I'm overlapping him, so I move a little to the right because I think he might be standing. Mike likes to shift up and stand sometimes. In a few kilometers, we'll be entering the forest on Mount Pleasant Road. There are little pieces of debris like branches and stuff. I think it's from the storm. Didn't do much damage out here, which is good. Didn't knock down our trees or anything. Because it was really, really blowing. Whenever they call a tornado watch or something, I'd stay off the roads because it's not just the wind you're concerned about. It's like falling wires, trees, and then if it's at night and the power goes out and you're driving, you can run over stuff. So it's better that if you can avoid being out when they have a watch, it's best to postpone whatever errand you were going to run till the storm is gone. I think this is near where the forest starts. That fence looks familiar on the right. You see, I'm spinning triple digits. Yeah, this is Mount Pleasant Road. If you go to the left, it'll take you back to Taco Corner. So we're gonna go right and go further north, adding another 45 minutes. That's why I just told her that we'll go to Taco. I told Laura, so we'll turn here. This is where Mike sits up, so I go around him. I told him, man, monster pull. This is Mount Pleasant Road.
This is so nice. Now look at the size of this field. When we go past this structure here. Yeah, look at that. You can land a 767 in that pasture. Right, Prologue?
That's right.
Yeah, Mike's talking about the field on the right.
Car back.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
So Paul says car back, but that driver apparently was not in a rush, and I think he lives in here. So He just sits behind us.
Paul,
Yeah.
it's like this, Paul.
Uh-huh.
So Texas,
Yes.
it's like on the north you got Canada, the
Yeah.
south you got Mexico, and then there's all the other states, and then there's us.
That's the truth.
Yeah,
Big
Texas is
Texas.
huge. Texas is a whole other country.
Oh, absolutely. Sir, ma'am, yes sir, yes ma'am.
They're talking about Southern hospitality.
So our first week here, there's a Chick-fil-A right there in the parking lot. We're on today. We live right across the street from this park. So anyway,
Car back, guys.
we go to the Chick-fil-A.
He says car backs, so I speed up, and then Laura gets behind me, and so Mike is behind her. But this guy doesn't come around.
Well,
So.
he's taking his sweet time to pass.
He's intimidated by you, Paul. He doesn't want to go by you. So, we go to Chick-fil-A, and I have my Navy hat on. And we're in the drive-thru, and the young man says, "Sir, are you military?" I said, "Yes, I am. Here's my ID card." And he,
I think in a little bit, Laura's going to go ahead and take the lead.
"You get 25% discount here at Chick-fil-A." And I went back to San Diego a couple weeks back. I took my mom and my brother. I said, "Let's go to Chick-fil-A. I want to see if we get any kind of..."
Mike said he got a military discount in Texas at Chick-fil-A, but in California he got none. He got nothing.
So we go, I mean, there's...
He got 25% discount
San Diego alone.
by being a military guy.
Anyway, we go up there. I got my ID card out. I said, "You guys have military discount?" He says, "No, I'm sorry, we don't." They have no discount.
So no discount in California for the military at Chick-fil-A,
Wow.
but 25% discount in Texas
Yeah.
at Chick-fil-A.
I mean,
That's weird.
that just goes to show you, Texas, they respect the military here. Yeah. Oh, sometimes Laura, here on the left, sometimes it's just full of horses and cows. Like in the summer when it's super green and lush. Yeah, it's really nice.
That guy
So-
back there has no intention of passing us. He must enjoy Cyclist.
I'm telling you, Paul, he's intimidated by you. There's no way I'm catching Paul.
I think the guy lives somewhere near here. He decided he's not going to bother to pass. He'll just sit behind us until he gets his turn. He ended up turning off. So he lives in one of these little coves. So he's not in a hurry. It was unusual to see that, but it does happen sometimes. Usually is when their turnoff is within sight, because he's been there for a while. But you know, he's probably just enjoying being out Saturday morning. For a change to have somebody who's not in a hurry. That's rare. Yeah, Mike saying this way the guy was backing up. I said, yep. We came through here and there was a guy backing up on a hill. I'm like, come on. That's why we love the forest, up and down. We're moving here. I'm in a fairly large gear, and I stand up because it feels good. Might spin in a moderate gear. I keep my shifting system adjusted properly because I shift a lot, and I don't like waiting for it to engage. When I click it, it needs to be there. And a properly adjusted mechanical gear is just a joy to use. I'm staying very close to Laura because she's smaller than I am, so I've got to stay close to take advantage of that draft of the air that she's pushing. So you got to stay close. She's easy to follow because she's smooth. So it was a joy to ride with these guys today. With Laura and Mike Pereira, my brother Paulie Longa as usual. It was a different change because we got home and we're like, man, it was nice to have, and I even told them on the ride, it was nice having you guys come out because it was great having a reprieve from, you know, it's either I'm pulling or Paul is pulling, so we both got a break on this ride. So as the season progresses, hopefully we'll get more people to join us. As usual, we'll visit other groups where appropriate. So when you're following someone closely and the road starts to descend, you get sucked into their wheel. That's why you see you see Mike is freewheeling. I soft pedal sometimes. I also move over left or right because I'm following her so closely that when we descend, I get sucked into her wheel, so I move over to catch some wind to not have to brake. You have to do that. That's part of riding with other riders. You learn how to do that. And you're gliding over, you're not jerking the bike, you just kind of glide. I let her know that road dead ends into some kind of club.
This is Mike's favorite. I swear, in the summertime, I could have sworn I saw Anthony Reynolds scurrying around.
Mike loved the forest. The Sam Houston National Forest. So you have private lands that are in the forest. People have private farms and different things among the forest property. Look at, you can see the road going up.
Right, this Bethel V. What a great ground.
3, 4, I don't know, probably 6%. It kicks up.
You know, I noticed out here too, Laura. I'm not sure where you live, but San Diego's gotten so crowded in some of these signals that you can get a lot more miles in here way fast. I feel like I'm following Sana when I'm behind.
I was thinking the same thing.
I just feel the legs. My house.
Yeah.
Yeah, she looks almost like Sana on the
I was
bike.
holding it at 105. I was like, this is not following Sana. My thought exactly.
You just see legs because Julie's torso is tiny, so when she gets in an aero position, it's like the frontal area is reduced, and all you see are her legs moving up and down. That's just like how Sana looks on the bike.
Amazing how Cyclist, she already rode with most of the group here. She was telling me she rode with VCC, WCC. Okay. We rode with all of them. Okay.
Yeah, she's been doing the rides from Whole Foods and different places in the woodland.
Few weeks, but it looks like she's been here months. Yeah. She's been with them on them. She said WCC, they're strong.
Yeah, you know, I mean, cycling is what you do. Yeah, so she said she rode with WCC on a Tuesday night. So when you go to a new area, I mean, what are you? That's your hobby. That's what you're into. That's the first thing you try to get your bearings. You find out what groups are there. You get some rides in.
We'll pass all year.
So Laura has already ridden with WCC and some of the other groups that leave. The different parts of the woodland people leave from, like Whole Foods, the different Krogers in the area, you know, depending on which group.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we made good time. It's like,
we went through the lake first.
yeah, 9 something in the morning. We left at 7:15, and we're already near one. We're in the forest at 2 hours later. So it was a good, quick ride.
I've been to Austin.
Yeah, that pool on by the lake was sweet.
Yeah, Paul's I'm talking about Mike's pull across the lake all the way to the forest. Nice and steady and fast.
I finally got all my shoes comfortable.
Yeah. I have 4 pairs I haven't set yet.
I've set up all of them are set up.
Yeah.
As soon as they come in, I'll set. I already got the cleats.
Yeah.
I already had extra cleats, so I'll set them up as soon as they come in. They're all set up. Same spot you got the marking I sent you.
Yeah.
Same spot.
We're talking about making adjustments on our shoes, making sure they're set up, ready to go. You know, your contact points on the bike is critical. Because if you don't have those cleats in the right position, you can get hot spots, discomfort in your feet, especially on a long ride. So this stage of the ride, it's a little hiatus, so we're just chatting through the forest. It looks flat, but it's 2%, 2 to 3%. So whenever I have time, these are the kind of roads I look for. If I have time to get out, I don't want to be in the city because during the week you're limited, so you're in town riding around, stopping.
More than a year, at least 2 years.
Yeah.
No progress.
Yeah, they're working on 1097. It's kind of like, I tell Paul that it's probably budgetary funding, depending on when they get the money, and then they decided they decided they want to widen the highway.
Well, the problem is, I don't think it's the people doing the job. I think it's the funding.
Yeah.
They're widening that road. They're gonna have to shrink it back when they get to the bridge because the bridge is only 2 lanes. So I don't see them building another long lane to go with that bridge. I don't think it's necessary at this point.
turns. How many races do you have left up there? But geographically, it's
Not compared to like it was and racers, if we can get 10 women in the field, we love to.
yeah. I understand. Yeah.
I didn't realize I was in a small chain ring, and I had to look down and say, oh, I don't know if the camera picked me up, but I told Paul, I didn't realize I was in a small chain ring. So not every part of your ride should be like heads down, balls out, whatever.
I had everything on a small chain ring.
That's what I tell him, Paul. I was just spinning the thing. I was like, then I looked down, like, what gear am I in? I was on a small chain. I just shifted the big chain ring. Didn't matter. I mean, I didn't want to. I don't like to go too far down the gears to where you're towards small, big. I avoid. That's cross chaining. It's more efficient to keep your chain as straight as possible. They're not bad to be in for short periods, but not to be rolling for kilometers on end. So you can see, even though we're talking, I'm coasting, I'm pedaling. Because of this terrain, we're doing 21, 22 miles an hour. And talking, the road's quiet enough to where we can ride two abreast. That's what it's about. That's what's great about cycling as a social sport.
Yeah. So we can take Bailey Grove. Oh yeah, okay.
So I don't know what you guys did this
right,
weekend.
You add more miles. It's up to you. That's all right. Let's go left and we'll turn right on Bailey Grove. We'll stick to your route, Eldred. I think you'll like it.
Yeah, so far. We have to plan.
You hear Mike said
you guys are looking very squared away today.
Mike said we're squared away. So,
Yes, sir.
we hit 149 here, and we're gonna go through Bailey Grove, but make sure you get your K's in, and no matter what, keep those doctors far